What do you do when you lose at the biggest stage? The Spurs lost. Pereira got knocked out. Ilia got stopped. 3 moments where history was supposed to be written, and then I watched them lose. And I had the same thought as everybody else. Damn. Because losing at the biggest stage feels different. You're almost there. You're basically at the top, but you never went over the hump. In the NBA, a first round playoff exit feels bad, but losing in the finals? Losing a small fight is one thing. Getting stopped when the whole world is watching, when you could have proven you're the greatest of all time, that feels different. And then I started wondering something. Is it worse to fall at the top or at the bottom? Or is it just more visible? Think about it. Most people never experience public failure. Not because they're better, but because they're at the stage where no one can see them fail. Nobody remembers the thousands of players who could have made it to the NBA. Nobody remembers the fighters who never even tried to fight for a title. But everybody remembers the guy who lost in the finals, or the guy who got knocked out in front of everybody. Because the higher you climb, the more visible your mistakes become. And yes, maybe that's the price for greatness. To get bigger victories means you have to risk for bigger sacrifices. But is it more fun? Is it more fun? The game, or whatever you want to call it, gets less fun when the stakes are at its highest. It's still the same game. When there's no stakes involved, the game is more fun. The people who recently lost, like Ilia Topuria, Pereira, even Victor Wembanyama, were trying to fight for greatness rather than just the game. The people who beat them, like Gon, Justin Gaethje, Jalen Brunson, they didn't focus on the outcome. They just focused on the game, and they won. They just made the game more fun. And making the game more fun is the outline for your life. You need to make the game more fun, because when you add this extra pressure, you're going to lose. If Victor Wembanyama won the NBA Finals, he'd be on the track road for being a GOAT. If Ilia Topuria didn't lose to Justin Gaethje, everybody would call him the GOAT. If Pereira became the heavyweight champion, he would have been the GOAT. These pressures dragged them down to what they are truly capable of, because they're no longer fighting for themselves, they're fighting for the legacy. And there's a difference between fighting for legacy and fighting for sport. When Jalen Brunson was down 30, he had the same mentality when he was up 3-1. Justin Gaethje before his interview was very humble and just said very few things. Ilia Topuria said a funeral. Is one person better than the other? In an isolated environment, Ilia Topuria beats Justin Gaethje. Gon loses to Pereira, and Victor Wembanyama would be the NBA champion, but we're not in an isolated environment, and these factors do play a role in how we actually do things. That milestone that you have, I'm gonna chase this. Once I get this is gonna make my life better. Once I get that 6-figure job, once I have the 6-pack abs, once I do this, No, listen to yourself. You're putting this stress, you're putting this burden on top of yourself. You're going to lose. Just say, I know what I need to do, but I'm not going to care if I lose. Because think about it, if you have nothing to lose, you have everything to win. Justin Gaethje said in his interview, I envisioned myself losing. I knew I was going to lose. These players are the best at what they do. They're at the biggest stage, yes. But you have to realize, because they lost at the biggest stage, everyone's going to ridicule them. The world sees it. All these amazing players who seem to have never lost, it was just at a lower stage. Like Jordan, he lost 3 playoff series in a row to the same team. He didn't get that far enough to even go to the finals. Kobe Bryant, one of the most clutch players of all time, airballed against Utah in one of the most important games of his career at the time. Did he let that define him? No. He still moved on, and he got better. Tom Brady lost Super Bowls. Muhammad Ali lost matches. No matter what you do, you're always going to eventually lose. But if you accept that, you'll be fine. This is what I think. I don't think this is about Pereira, or Victor Wembanyama, or Ilia Topuria. I think it's about me, or you, or anybody. Maybe you'll fail an exam. Maybe you'll lose a business. Maybe you'll get rejected. Maybe you'll give everything you had and still come up short. But when that day comes, what are you going to do? Because these are not maybes. These are eventualities. Failure isn't the question. Failure is guaranteed. Throughout your whole life, you're always going to fail, no matter what. But what happens after? Do you let one moment decide who you are? Or do you accept that losing isn't the opposite of greatness? It's part of it. Because maybe the greatest people in history weren't the ones who failed. They were the ones who refused to let failure have the final word. Maybe losing at the biggest stage isn't proof that you weren't meant for greatness. Because to step on that stage is proof enough that you're better than 99.9% of the world. It may be hard, but the greatest tragedy isn't losing in front of the whole world. It's never risked me enough to even try to get there in the first place. Thank you, and subscribe if you want to. It's free. And click here if you want to see how to stay consistent.